Well, more than 100,000 doctors in Australia currently have the right to call themselves a cosmetic surgeon without necessarily having undergone the specific training to be competent and safe. Around 500,000 Australians spent at least $1 billion on cosmetic surgery year on year, which is more per capita than in the United States, and many practitioners are taking advantage of this rapid growth, resulting in damaging and dangerous consequences. Dr. Patrick Tansley is the president of the Australasian College of Cosmetic Surgery and Medicine, and he joins me now live to discuss. Doctor, appreciate your time this afternoon. Firstly, can you explain to us the current situation? How can any doctor call themselves a cosmetic surgeon?
Well, thank you for inviting me on the programme. Good evening. Yes, I can. Cosmetic surgery is a relatively new practice in its modern form. It's only been around for about 30 to 40 years. And as a consequence of that, it hasn't formed part of the traditional medical education programmes of most of the traditional medical specialties. As a consequence of that, lots of practitioners with varied training backgrounds have started to undertake it. And society has moved faster than legislation has followed it. As a consequence, there are broadly three groups of practitioners in Australia who currently undertake cosmetic surgery. One are fellows of the college I represent, of the Australasian College of Cosmetic Surgery and Medicine. They have a mandatory 2 years of training and education leading to a fellowship specifically in that area of practice. There are also plastic surgeons who are educated through the Royal Australasian College of Surgeons, some of whom have some training in cosmetic surgery, some of whom don't. And there are a third group of practitioners who generally have zero cosmetic surgical training. Now, it's quite legal for any of those practitioners to call themselves a cosmetic surgeon, but from a patient's point of view, they don't know which one they are going to get. And so it forms a lottery as to which type of practitioner a patient will select.
So are there currently any national standards to regulate this?
That's the problem. At the moment, there are not, and that's what we would like to introduce. And I have advocated to government the introduction of a section under the current national law, Section 98, for the endorsement of an area of practice. And what that means in simple terms is that if the stakeholders came together under the direction of the government, we agreed a set of standards on a national basis, and then those practitioners who met those standards, whether they're a cosmetic surgeon, whether they're a plastic surgeon, or any other type of surgeon wishing to undertake cosmetic surgery, once they had met those standards and then were endorsed, they could be placed on a public register independently administered by the regulator AHPRA, and the public would then be able to see with clarity and transparency which of those doctors had been trained and accredited in cosmetic surgery versus who has not, and that would make the public safe.
I guess it's extraordinary to think that there aren't national standards. As I said in my introduction, Australians spend at least $1 billion on cosmetic surgery every year. How concerning is it that really a patient might not necessarily know who could be performing their surgery?
Oh, it's a great concern, but these issues are not new, and they go back almost a quarter of a century. And the last time this problem was considered was way back in 1999. From that consideration, the Walton Cosmetic Surgery Inquiry, the New South Wales Cosmetic Surgery Credential Council was formed, and that failed after just a few years because of the various vested interests of different surgical groups. So the problem itself is not new. What has changed is society around it. There's greater accessibility. There's the seductive media claims, social media claims rather, which we're all subjected to on a daily basis, and the cult of celebrity. And these sorts of things have led to an explosion in the demand for cosmetic surgery. But the legislation and the protections for patients have lagged a long way behind that, and that's what we want to address now. The difficulty is because cosmetic surgery does not address a burden of disease. For example, if one wishes to undergo a facelift or a liposuction procedure, that is not a disease process. And that is the criteria which is fundamentally required for any medical specialty to be recognised as a specialty in its own right. Cosmetic surgery, therefore, cannot be recognised under national law at this moment in time. And that is why the endorsement solution, which I have advocated to government and readily exists under the current national law, would be a practical, pragmatic solution which could be implemented fairly easily and in a straightforward manner.
And given right now there aren't any national standards for this, what would be your advice to patients who are potentially looking to undertake surgery?
I think patients should be very careful indeed. They should approach a practitioner and question them closely on exactly what training and qualifications they have had in surgery and also specifically in cosmetic surgery. It's a common myth that plastic surgery, which is reconstructed by background, is synonymous with cosmetic surgery, and that is simply not the case. I can say that because I'm a British plastic surgeon by background on the UK register, but I have undertaken additional training specifically in cosmetic surgery for this very purpose, to ensure that safety and standards are maintained. And that is the kind of question that patients should be asking of any practitioner they approach, to ensure that that practitioner has had specific training in cosmetic surgery and knows what they're doing. No competent practitioner will ever object to being asked that sort of a question, and it should be welcomed. And if patients have doubts, then they should simply not undergo surgery with that individual. They should also look for reviews, but be careful of that because some reviews are commissioned in a commercial manner, and they should ask for a variety of supportive material to ensure that the practitioner they consult is bona fide and is trained in the area of cosmetic surgery.
Yes, some really good advice. Dr. Patrick Tansley, I appreciate you joining us. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Good night.